you are all domain expert in your e-content development, and the teaching learning process, the chemistry which happens between student and blended delivery model, and so on and so forth. All of that. So our idea today is that when you actually go to an industry expects some more skills from you other than the domain expertise. And like they expect you to do a good copywriting or a good communication or personality or presentation or everything. Similarly, they also expect some management skills, because as you grow up higher in the ladder, you require management skills. One of the challenges today, especially in the field of creativity, where the time commitments are not done, budget commitments are not being followed. The reason for that, it is always covered under so-called the word known as creative, so it may take its own course of time, and so, but the industry doesn't work like that. Industry says whatever creative work you have, but you need to have a deadline, you need to have time, you need to have budget, you need to have everything. Now, how to do it? I know it's a challenging part, but how to do it? What are the precautionary measures? And when I work, or I work with any industry, I also need to see what is that which I bring onto the table beyond my domain expertise, so that industry get benefited and eventually I grow up and the industry grows up. So this is specifically done for you, because project management as a subject is applicable across the domains. It is not only for education or content development. It is right from constructing bridges to constructing dams or making movie or making advertising film, anything and everything, even managing the marriages and events and everything. Anything where there is an activity, there is something which is definitely happening within time frame, you require project management. So many times you may realize that it's not something new, which I do every time, only I don't know the science behind it. And that will be a really good realization if you happen it quite early, because that's something which we really do in our own lives also. So what we are trying to today is trying to understand the methods and the way it should do. We can have a series of sessions followed by this, which will eventually bring you to a tool and technique. So first we'll understand the thought process, understand the process, understand the important knowledge areas and everything. Then we will also understand our role, and then we'll go to the tool, because tool is the last where we will probably understand and see what we have understood till that point can we really implement into a tool. All right, so here we go. At the end of this module, what I'm expecting is that you should be able to know principles, practice, and methodologies, methodology use of project management. What is that? I do every day. I do planning. I do systematic discipline. I come to college. I plan. I start 1 hour early. I get up early because I want to go early. Everything I do. Then what is that which really we want to achieve by doing something which is called as project management? So project management should enhance in business values. Okay, it enhances in either I getting some knowledge, I getting some value, I getting some monetary benefit, I getting something like I get salary or I get consultancy fee. Something has to go up. Otherwise, there is no point in doing project which is where the business value is not growing. Okay, it should also grow with time, because those are the two axes which we are talking about. So we are at some current stage at this moment, and we want to go to some future stage. In the form of, when we say future stage, we require time as one of the axes, we require business value as another axis, and then in between we wanted to do some activities, which can be activity A, B, C, D to A, B to Z or whatever it is, and that will take us from current state to a future state. Let's take some example. For example, we want to convert Mumbai city into a smart city. So what is things? So we have currently some Mumbai city, which is in current state. We want to take it to the smart city as as a target. Well, this one, where there will be a benefit to citizens, benefit to a management, to administration, to the people, attraction to the complete global business community. All that comes as a business value, and what it requires is some definite amount of time to convert it. Okay, so this is something where when I exactly know what I want to do, and for that I do certain set of activities which is called as project management, or which is called as project per se. The management part of it is called as project management. Okay, so first part which you are talking about at this moment is current state to a future state, going from A state to B state, which is on higher side from business value and time perspective, and that should have a definite benefits. Then only there is a point in doing project, and that's what we are doing. So we have answered two questions. One is what is project, so, and the other one is why the projects are undertaken. So we need to create a business value, which can be social, which can be emotional, which can be monetary, which can be non-monetary, which can be entertainment. Anything which you feel the value is created, then that is something with that is the purpose of making project. Okay. So now this is just a basic idea, just to probably warm up to a project management. Now this is like process companies have defined. Unique process consists of set of coordinated and control activities with the start and finish dates. This is typical process language. Okay, when ISO, okay, they define this, they really define it absolutely in a process terminology. Temporary organizations need to be produced a unique and predefined outcome, a result pre-specific time using predetermined resources. So they are going one step ahead. They are also saying that before and earlier we were saying that we must know the cost constraint, we should have time constraints, we should have quality constraint. Now they are going one step further. They said we also have a resource constraint. So we cannot use as many resources as we want. Honestly speaking, when we control cost, we also control resources. Okay, but there are ways and means to look at to this, because every project has to be seen. Prince2 is one of the very leading project management tools or process management tool in the world. So that's the reason why their definition is being taken. Okay, I will now go to the next slide, which is project management methodology and can help development organization meet their strategic objective. Standardized process, reducing avoid duplicating of efforts. Now, what this really means for that? Like for example, a automotive manufacturing company will have a strategic goal. What is the strategic goal? Like Mercedes-Benz have recently announced that by 2025, they will all work over electric vehicles only. So it's a strategic goal defined almost 10 years back. So all the projects which are now created there to develop a concept car, to develop a e-car, to develop a kit, okay, to convert the existing car into electric car, or to do a collaboration so that we have a different kind of car. All this is to be done, okay, in the direction of strategic direction of the company. So this looks to be a small project, but they are not actually a simple independent isolated project. It's a part of larger program. Okay, like for example, in India we are now planning to make 500 cities. Now making 500 smart cities is not a big, not an easy task. But for that, somebody will have to first convert the municipal corporation into digital thing. Somebody will have to convert the logistics with a GPS. Somebody will have to come with a GPS maps with CCTV protections and everything. Somebody will have to develop a communication system. So these looks as smaller projects. These looks like an isolated project, but in reality, they are integrated project, and they are integrated for achieving a strategic goal defined by that city or by the big administration of that city. Okay, so why this is to be done? Sometimes it is POC, that is proof of concept. Sometimes it is called as prototype, so that there are no duplication of efforts. We don't want to do it, otherwise the same project is done again and again with no sharing of knowledge. See, everything, if you see a human progress today, we have come a long way, but we are not done only because our generation was smart. That's not the case. We actually evolved over a period of time. Everybody did some projects, they refined techniques, they refined the process. So we took that process from that point, we further refine it, and today we have a much better processes available, and tomorrow we'll have even better processes available. Because the technology is changing, tools are changing, processes are changing, expectations are changing, skill sets are changing, everything is changing. So naturally, this will eventually change the complete efforts. Now, what are the characteristics of project management? So we now understood what is Basically, we understood what is project management. So how to define project, why we require project, and how one can really look at to a project management. Now we'll drill down further. So now we're talking about characteristics of project. So first is coordinated and controlled activities. What is coordinated and what is controlled? So we call it as, there are champion companies, champion driven companies. What is mean by that? There is one person who really takes like a lead, you don't discuss strategies with too many people, who take a lead and complete it. And other people have a high faith and belief into him, so they just go and help him out, and they ensure that whatever is been told to them, they do it perfect, until this guy actually grows faster. Is that what we expect in project management? So we said that for this project, he is a champion. Whatever he says, you do it. And people say, boss, we don't want to work with this. Why? Because he may be good or he may not be good. I don't know. Why should I waste my time and energy? Suppose he becomes successful, it's okay. If it doesn't become successful, then what? Then where we go? The money is lost, time is lost, opportunity is lost. So we don't talk about it. So we said that it should be absolutely coordinated. I must know exactly, not I, every team member of my project should know exactly what needs to be done by whom and when and where. Then that is called as coordinated activities. And then it is controlled. If I've told you that you do only this part, and if you start doing something more, then I must have a control mechanism. Somebody who is responsible for it will say, hey, brother, hold on here. Your job is done. Now it's my job. Let me take it onward from this. So those kind of activities, this is one characteristics of project management. So project management is not champions management. Okay. Project management is systematic process, coordinated activity. That's it. So whether I do it here, I do it in America, I do it in Zimbabwe, it simply doesn't matter. It only matters by the skill level of the people. So it may differ in time, it may differ in resources, but the process remains same. Okay, that's something which we want. Then it is called as temporary organization, where I told you, we are not talking about operations. We are talking about temporary organization, which is created for this project and done. Now, for discussion here or onwards, we'll take one example. We'll take smart city. We'll take metro as a part of it. Okay. So when I say temporary organization for project, so metro can be a program and part of metro can be a project. So program may have multiple projects. So then we are talking about metro is a temporary organization which will build metro. Okay, there might be another organization who will run metro, but that's an operation. But the building operation is defined for a period of 3 years or 5 years, nothing more than that. After 5 years, once the metro is ready, it is handed over to running company, their job is done. Okay, that organization is closed. So the organization came in existence for creating metro, organization created metro, and organization is closed because now there is no need for such kind of organization. It is always a time and a cost constraint operation. These are also interrelated to each. What do you mean by interrelated to each? If we increase in time, and that's what is the problem today. Suppose we have a content development assignment, or take a metro example in Bombay. There are some XYZ reasons for which now metro got delayed. So what has increased? In time has increased. What has it directly impacted to us? Directly impacted to is the cost is also increased now. Because salaries continue, the work is halted, the inventories are hold on, the project is not doing, cost is increasing, raw material cost is increasing, everything is changing. Now in this situation, the cost will go up. The project which should have done at X cost, today it might be multiple of X. And that's the reason why this is something need to be continuously monitored. Then we have application of knowledge, skill, tools and techniques. Okay, I'll give some different example. Okay, the example is like, most of you know that in Hyderabad there is a Hussain Sagar, and in Hussain Sagar we have one big statue made up of stone. I don't know, many of you may not be knowing, but still let me repeat it for an example. While erecting the statue, it actually fall into water. They could not erect statue, and it went to the bottom of the Hussain Sagar. Now what happened? People say, उसमें क्या है ना, crane लगाने का. So we are talking about 13,000 ton of stone need to be lifted. Now we have no idea how to deal with this kind of situation because we have no resources, no knowledge, no skills to handle this kind of situation. Then there is a company who is expert in actually removing the sinking ships. Okay, they were invited, and so people thought now big machinery will come and they will lift. Nothing happened like that. What happened? They came out with the specialized belts. What they have, they put it just they had a ski divers. I mean, sea divers, deep sea dives, and they went down and they put a belt below the below the statue at multiple locations, and the both ends are brought up. Then they actually put the industrial balloons there, and they start putting an air into that. And once the balloons are completely blown up, because of the balloon pressure and the belts and everything, the statue start coming and floating at the surface of the water. And then they did. The point which I'm trying to drive to you is that you also require a good amount of knowledge. We call it as a domain knowledge for that particular industry. You should have appropriate skills available. So you want to build something, but you don't have an idea about that business. You don't know what skills are required. You don't know which tools are required or what techniques are required. Then what's the point in doing it? There is no point in doing that. Like Konkan Railway, one of the classic projects in this country, because nobody has built that kind of bridges which are, by design some 210 meters high or 20 to 220 meters high. So you require a separate set of skill set or separate set of knowledgeable people who actually understand this. Okay, so this is also one of the very important characteristics of project management. Let me conclude this slide again. We are saying that it is not something which is champions project management. It is controlled, okay, and it is also coordinated. Coordinated is properly, timely placed, and controlled is nothing beyond the scope, nothing beyond the budget. It is a temporary organization. It starts for creating something and it ends with after the completion is done. Then it is time and cost sensitive, or time and cost constraints are important, and then it requires adequate knowledge of that particular subject, skill sets which are required for that, tools which are required for that, and techniques which are required for that. Like somebody is working in some other cement industry and you want to develop a content. Will he understand instructional designing? No, he will not understand. Will he understand pedagogical design? No, he will not understand. Will he understand graphics part of it? Maybe, but not enough. So will he be able to develop a content? You will say, no, it's such a big cement company. They got so big, but they don't have a skill sets. They don't have a knowledge. They have no idea how to develop the content. And so they may not be able to do it. They will have to acquire or hire or probably outsource to a people who have that. Now, what are the challenges in the project management? First is that a lot of time objectives are not properly defined. What is meant by that? It is vague. It is not tangible. It cannot be measured. Okay. Or it cannot be quantified. I want to build a house which should be beautiful and the view should be excellent. It should be world class. So fair deal. So are these words are good as an objective? No, they are not good as an objective. Because nothing this can be measured. And whatever you call as world class, and if I say that no, I don't call it as world class, then we have no common definition. So objectives are not properly defined. That's a challenge in executing them. Insufficient planning, coordination, or resources. So we have no backup plan. We don't really monitor the dependency. We do not organize the resources. I will give you one example here. When the Bombay-Pune highway, which is known as Express Highway today, was built, I happened to meet the project manager of it. And I was talking to him. He said, sir, there were so many things which we need to plan. One of the things is that we calculated that how much diesel we require every, for entire project. And then we realized that we require 8 million, you know, 8 million trucks of diesel required for earth moving equipments and cements and everything which is required. So they said we cannot depend on one company. We cannot go to a nearby petrol pump and say, give me petrol, give me petrol. So before we start the project, we go to Old Bombay Pune Road. We see conveniently which are the places connected by road to express highway locations. And then we ask all India's top 8 petroleum companies to set up the plant there with 1 lakh, 1 lakh liter of capacity at every location. So that at any given point of time, we have enough medicines. When we'll break a stone, which is of 400 metric tons, okay. Now, the challenge is not, one challenge is breaking a stone, but the other challenge is where you will throw this stone. Because there is transport involved, there are people involved, and if you don't have, if it's too long distance and you don't know where to throw, it's a 400 metric tons, you cannot throw anywhere. So they first found out where are the valleys which can be filled up, how far they are distant from this, how much volume is coming from where, so how much transportation will be required to do that. Now you can understand how, what level of planning need to be done before doing this kind of project. Poor estimation of duration and cost. A lot of time we don't understand because we are not domain expert. Somebody says that, we want to make one tunnel here, or we want to make, so like, let's take something which is more closer to you. Suppose as we say that many times, as I said the earlier example, that 20 people are going to come, and I expect that I will be able to make, 60 rotis in 2 hours. And I could not, because of whatever reason, nothing happened really. On that day, it was a bad day, things were not working. So I lost it completely. I had no game plan, no disaster recovery plan, I had no alternative method available. So naturally then it's a wrongly estimated. Eventually I'll end up in spending much more money. So time is lost, happiness is lost, and money is also lost into the game. That's a challenge which one need to address. Incomplete, unrealistic, and outdated project plan. A lot of time, we make project plan. Like I give this example, but don't take it like, applicable to in India only and all kind of a thing. But I wanted to tell you, when we built a house and when the architect is coming, we say that I don't want the bathroom to be, facing this side, it should be facing that side. So immediately take out a drawing and do the marking. Okay, we will move it here, then we will move it there, then we want entrance to be moved from this point to this point. So they do it. But when you go to townships or smart cities, the architect there or international repute of architect, what he says, whatever you want to say, you say, I'll take a notes of it. But I will do nothing on the paper right now, because I'll have to go see what is possible, what is not possible, and I have to change all the drawings. When I change the door from this side to that side, I have to change electrical connections, I have to change plumbing connections, I have to change everything. So I can't do it on a piece of paper and tell you that it is done, no problem. That's insufficient planning, incomplete, unrealistic business plans. But then the architect has to be there, because every doubt they have to be there to stand there and tell them what is solution. But when you do a systematic work, you say that I'll go home, I'll think over, I will see, I'll change it in every layer of the drawing, and then only I will give a new release of drawings. Then that makes logically a correct pitch for project challenge, addressing project challenges. So, friends, I will now conclude this slide saying that we do not have a proper objective defined. We have poor insufficient or a poor planning, coordination, and resources. Then we have poor estimation of duration and cost. So we have done something with some understanding and which really doesn't tally with the real work or situation there. Then we have incomplete, unrealistic, and outdated project plan. Because of this, these challenges ensures that project will not finish in given time frame with a given price and budget. So those all, and we will not satisfy the objectives which are defined there. These are some continued points. Lack of communication. One of the most important point which really makes project miserable is a lack of communication. Why it is like this? Because many times people do not disclose the information to all. Then the resources, the parties, and the people who are engaged into that are depending and waiting for the decisions. And then they are waiting for the next action plan. So that time is wasted, anxiety is created, the smoothness of the work is not done, proper planning of the work is not done because I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'll give the same example of express highway. So we were discussing that if somebody wants to go with a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, what he requires on express highway. So what he requires? He requires clear visibility of 1.6 kilometers so that he can drive at 100 kilometers. Suppose you want to make an express highway, a big highway, but you make it in a small town where it is turning at every now and then will you be able to accelerate the vehicle? No, you will say what can I do on this here? Because I have no visibility. Road might be clear. You are telling me nobody's on the road, so you can go fast, but I cannot because I can't see that. So I need a visibility, I need a plain field, I don't require a straight line because I may go to slip. I require a standard curvature continuously working so that I remain awake and I drive. All these criteria need to be done. With his highest efficiency or with highest speed, then they require visibility. They must know that what I am going to do today, what I am going to do tomorrow, what I am going to do day after tomorrow, what I need to prepare. So end of 15 days, what is that which I am supposed to complete? So do I know all that? Then I can start preparing. Even I finish my work today early, I'll prepare for tomorrow or day after or something even after 10 days. I'll start working onto that. I'll start understanding that. I'll start preparing for that. That is something where we say if the communication is not right, you do not have a visibility. And if you do not have a visibility, you cannot accelerate your work or you cannot do it with a much higher speed. Then we have inadequate definition and acceptance of role. So every time we say that is not my job, it is their problem. He says that it's not my job. Graphics guy says that look, they gave me an image, I converted that image into a graphics, which was briefed to me. Whether it is creating that impact on education or no, I got nothing to do with it. Then we are not in sync with each other. So we have to define that who is responsible for what. And that is something which they have to also accept it. It's not something I thought you will do it like this, but you said that you never told me. And I have never said that I will do it. But when I say that you are responsible for it, you will do it, now you will start thinking differently. Because the ownership lies with you as you accepted the role. Okay, that's very important. And poor commitment to the project by the team. So poor commitment happened by many reasons. One of that is a poor visibility, poor acknowledgement, poor definitions, poor scope, overriding the activities, poor salaries, low quality resources, no emphasis on quality, no focus on consistent work, no planning. All these are reasons for poor commitment. And then people are not committed to the project. So these are the few challenges which I wanted to tell you. Nothing really goes, there's nothing like a rosy days, rose and cakes for everybody every day. So we should know challenges, we should know characteristics, and then we should really understand, keeping this in mind, we should develop the project plan. Oh, there are a few more. So weak control processes. So I do not have anything to control. Like for example, my control office is in Pune and I wanted to monitor express highway in the Ghat section that why the accidents are happening. So what control processes I have? I got nothing. I cannot really scrutinize a vehicle before it enter into high speed zone. Then do I have a control on this part? No, I don't have. So I need to create those. Lack of risk analysis. Certain things goes in a risk, but we are not accommodated anything for that risk. For example, suppose while building that kind of project or a metro project, Suddenly there is a strike and we don't get on crude oil for 1 week. But do we have business contingency plan? Do we have some spare capacity? Can we really ensure that out of 8 days, at least we can work for 5 days? Or can we really plan something where within, like, look at to something which is like there was an Amrutanjan bridge on the highway, express highway. They have a problem. Traffic is so heavy that they cannot really break that. And to break that with a blast that bridge, it is very weak. You need to have some slot. So what they decided? They waited for an opportunity. So they got opportunity, they got a window. So they planned the risk analysis. They closed the highway because the revenue also got closed. So they did that and they blew it in 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours and finished that work, and they opened the express highway with a fresh, clear, without a risky breach. So there are uncertainties in business, there are uncertainty in project, there are uncertainty in resources, there are uncertainty in skilled people leave the organization. So we must have some kind of planning, analysis or alternative which should be available. Eventually everything boils down to a good control. Once it starts, we must have a control at every level, whatever you can, so that there is no need for monitoring at the later stage when there is a fault has occurred. If it's done rightly at the beginning, at the entry point, you don't have to worry, things will go right. Now we are talking about constraints. What is constraints? Like we have a dreams, everybody have dream. I wanted to make career, I need to have there is nothing. I mean, there is an a long story for everybody. They want everything, and then after dreaming all that, we come to reality and we said, boss, पैसे नहीं है, ये time सही नहीं है, मेरे जिंदगी में सब खराब चल रहा है, things are not working the way that I wanted. I do everything good for everybody, but nobody does good for me, and so on and so forth. What are these? These are constraints. There is no business without constraint. Okay, please understand. There is no, you don't do any business saying that we have enough money, as much as you need, we have money. No. We said nothing doing. Even though I have money, I can't invest because once it is gone and if it is not coming back, then I don't know. So there is no business in the world which actually goes without constraint. Is constraint is seen in a negative way? Constraint is something where we said that my hands are tied and my legs are tied. No, constraint is something that you have some window in which you can operate. You have some budget in which you can operate. You have some space in which you can operate. Nobody has stopped you to operate. But you cannot say that I don't require space, I don't require budget. Like somebody says that I want to make a film, but I don't want budget. No, I will do it till that I am happy. Okay, now nobody will invest into this film because they don't know when this guy will happy. And beyond that, even this guy is happy. What is the guarantee that after this film is been released, the people will be happy? Because at the end of the day, my money comes from people. So all these all things were means with a constraint. Now let us understand what are the constraints in projects. Okay, one is the scope. Lot of time people land up in overriding the scope. They have some scope defined right at the beginning and they start feeling emotional about the project and they start going further. Okay, like for example, a contractor has built a beautiful building. Okay, now his project is over here. He cannot go there and say that we will form society and I'll help you out in doing interior of your house and all. Then the scope of the project is completely changed. What is the scope of the project? I was given a land, I was told that you will get money, you will get resources, build the building in this particular time frame. My job was to make that building as per the design what is being provided and do with the best quality which I understand within the budget. And I'm happy the project has to close there. I cannot go further beyond this. Many times the scopes are not either defined well or they are not followed well. People override the scope. Because the project itself is not known. Project is not approved correctly. It is only shown that, okay, people have shown interest that this is a good project. Huh? And then you start working. I don't know, do they have a commitment for the project? Are they ready to invest? Have they transferred money? Have they committed you? If not, then don't touch to it. Then the project itself become a constraint. So first is approval. So a lot of time we see that getting approval itself took 15 years. So it's okay. It takes some time because without approval you cannot start the project. Project might be duration of 3 years only, but approval may take a long time because you have to convince a series of people who are going to invest. Then we have time. So we always say in our terminology that customer always wanted it yesterday. When he comes to me, he said that I wanted this project to be completed yesterday. Now I can't do it yesterday. I can only do it tomorrow, day after, or sometimes. So time is always constrained. And we have to be very particular about it, that we have to do the real calculation, not the emotional calculation. See, he's saying 3 months. Let's do it in 4 months. Now, what's the problem? No, you first calculate how much time is really you are going to take. Then do we have some buffer time where you can play or you can expedite? Do we have choice? So then you have to really come back. And here the terminologies like critical time and everything really works because your estimation lies onto that. I want to tell you, especially in IT, that 90% of project overruns for 150% of cost. Why? Because the estimations are not done right. And otherwise, if you do it in time, then you have problem with quality. Because then you are not really followed the processes and protocols for a good quality product, and then you compromise on quality, whether it is in material or it is in the process or it is in the execution. Everywhere you start feeling the quality of this one. Then we have resources. Again, I would like to mention that resources is not only human beings. We are talking about machinery, human beings, raw material, processes, systems like logistics, availability of resources, traveling distance, natural situation. There are certain areas where you see that especially in Ladakh and this kind of area, they are closed for 4 months. So if I want to do a project and I have not calculated this 4 months as a gap in between, I'm gone completely. So every resource doesn't mean only the things which need consumables. Resource is something which is everything together. So we need to really look at to this. Then the risk. Risk is with human life, risk is with natural disaster, risk is with cost, risk is with quality, risk is with political situations there, risk is with human life. How you will handle? I'll give the same example of express highway. I asked them that what was the other challenges. He said another challenges was so many laborers are going to come to work on this project, where they will stay, and whether we have a good drinking facility there. Otherwise, if they fall sick and then there is some issues, then what we will do? Do I have shelter? So across the express highway, they I think identified some 9 labor camps, which they identified right at the beginning of the project, where there is a water accessibility, food accessibility, then a good accommodation where they can really stable and safe and secure accommodation. Then their transport time will be less so that they can go to the work in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, not more than that. All these calculations are done. All these risks are mitigated. Risks are fund risk. So we might have fund risk. So do we have visibility for at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks that even the fund doesn't come or they get delayed? Are we going to complete, or we will tell the people that funds exhausted yesterday, today you just come and sit, but we don't have money, and so we don't have raw materials, so we cannot go. In our case of for example, content development, where the domain subject or domain content is coming from some expert. Now, if that expert is, do we have a risk ready, risk mitigation game plan? Suppose by any chance, I'm not saying he's doing deliberately, but he falls sick or he expired, then do you know another 3 people who have equal domain expertise or at least similar domain expertise where you can go and knock the door? You cannot really keep your project in a hot seat just because something really went wrong, which is out of your control and command. I wanted to give you one example, like the Srinivasan, who is known as a metro man, who really built the first Delhi metro. He resigned after one accident happened because one earthing equipment drilling machine actually fall down and one civilian died into the game, into this event. So he feel guilty and he did that. He went and did, but the government top officials like prime ministers and all, they said that it is not something which you, because you have to understand, you are creating something which is much larger than, you are not done deliberately, it is just an accident. So don't take ownership unnecessarily, because that kind of skilled person we do not have. The risk of losing Srinivasan is a big risk, because getting another resource like that, whatever money you have, it may not be possible. So eventually you have to see risk at all the level. And then of course everything, time, resources, quality, risk, people, salary, everything eventually come to cost. And if that is something, or misplanning, misalignment, everything adds to the cost. And then that the project becomes absolutely unviable, economically unviable.